Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Roundup podcast. My name is Kobe Zinn and I am joined here by my co-hosts today, Tony Flores and Andres Martinez. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Awesome. Doing awesome.
Yeah, it's good to hear. So I'm very excited to be bringing you guys this episode today because we are going to be talking about a subject that I think a lot of people will find very relevant as we go into the summer here in 2024, which is essentially what are some of the things to look out for if you are a first-time home buyer. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are looking to buy their homes for the first time here this summer as the real estate market starts to ramp up a little bit. This is the real estate transaction season. So we're going to be bringing you guys some of the top tips, some of the things to look out for, and the more frequently asked questions that you guys are hearing out there as you guys are dealing with buyers, first-time home buyers, both on the new construction side and on the resale home side for for these first time home buyers to really understand kind of what's going on. So let's just dig right into it. You guys are obviously out there as agents and sales reps working with buyers all the time. So when you guys are approached by a first time home buyer, what are some of the things that you guys are hearing when as far as the what are some things that they should be looking out for when they're buying their home for the first time instead of being their second or third transactions, right? So if you guys are running into first time home buyers, what are some of the things that you would tell them to look out for in that first or second conversation? And we can start with you, Tony, and we will go to you, Andres.
Okay, so I think for a first-time home buyer, the main thing is you want to watch out for the wrong information, getting the wrong information, hearing from one person or another person. Might be good for a lot of things, but might not be the best thing when you're looking to purchase your own home. Because as real estate professionals, as realtors, what we do is we have a good understanding of the market and also what specific needs that each individual might have. So I might be working with one client who is an investor, and they're working with certain lenders, hard money. They know the whole process. But when you're working with a new home buyer, they might not know a lot about a lot of the incentives. The first time home buyer programs, there's over 2,000 programs that are available for down payment assistance or some sort of assistance. Over 2,000. And if you think that number sounds crazy or odd, look at the website har.com. That's Houston. It's the Houston, one of our Houston office. Houston Association of Realtors is what it is. That will give you a list of resources. If you're not sure, if you don't believe me, 2,000 programs available. Okay. After you go to that har.com, you call me. So, and I can help you out. The other things that to watch out for would be, how much money, what resources do I have to put down payment on the first time home. For some people, it can be super, super minimal. Veterans have special things, special programs for veterans. There's first responders, there's teachers. There's a lot of different categories. A lot of times people don't realize that they qualify for, but just they think that I have to come up with 10, 12, $15,000 to have down payment. That's what is kind of a barrier for a lot of people. So don't make those assumptions. I would say to watch out for assumptions and watch out for the wrong information, and also watch out for the right people that will give you the best information that's available and that's current.
Yeah. So those are some great tips, right? So if somebody's buying a home for the first time, they're not going to know about these things, right? So as real estate professionals in the industry, some of these things are pretty common knowledge to all of us, right? They get talked about, thrown around in many different conversations. But for people out there who are not familiar, right, with the actual incentives, that's one of the big things that you mentioned is all of these home buyer incentives, especially designed for first-time home buyers that are out there that they can take advantage of to make it more affordable, as well as being able to budget for the down payment, right? Knowing what these programs are, knowing how much they need to put up for the down payment, they need to prepare for that. And obviously, of course, working with a real estate agent, if this is the first time you're buying a home, definitely recommend reaching out to a real estate agent, right? Because it's like having a guide through that process. If somebody is going to, I think we mentioned before, going into like the wilderness to go on a trek, you're going to want to have a guide with you so you don't get lost and or hurt, right? So this is very important. So Andres, same thing to you. I know you work with. We talk. We are talking a little bit before the show as well. You work quite a bit with first-time home buyers as well on the new construction side. So, what are some of the things that you've seen from first-time home buyers that you think they should be looking out for, they should be aware of as they're going into, essentially becoming a homeowner for the first time in their lives?
So the biggest question that I always get is, where do I start? I really want a home, but I just don't know where to start. So when someone approaches me and they tell me they're really excited about trying to purchase a home and they're motivated, what I do is I ask them a couple of questions. How long have they been working at their current job? If at least meets the requirements of 2 years. I ask them, do they have any knowledge of what's their credit score, right? Because we preferably would want them over a 620, uh, so multiple programs could be available. Um, Another thing that I ask is what motivates them to be searching for a home, right? Um, and then once I gather that information, I can tailor a plan uh, to help them with their needs. And at that point, I could give them a sound advice or recommendation on how we can approach uh, their opportunity to purchase a home. Um, and a lot of people's questions or concerns is interest rates. Andres, where are the interest rates? I heard it's a horrible time to purchase a home. What I try to do to I wouldn't even want to use the word combat, but the way that I like to ease their mind and just give them information on how a buy down could work for them, um, and just kind of specify like, hey, this is a specific buy down that the builder is putting money up front. That buy down could cost anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 to get their rate to like a 599, a 499. But just kind of educate them. Once you get that rate on this specific program that's being offered, it's from year one to year 30. There is some programs out there, like Tony says, there's different programs where you could get a 2-1 buy down. Those will buy it down year one to a specific amount, year two, and then year 3 to 30, it'll be a fixed rate at a specific amount. So just being able to explain um, that specific information on how something might be able to work for them, and then trying to get them as much money in closing costs is another important thing, because for first time home buyers, they know they need a down payment. No one ever explains to them that there might be some additional money for closing costs.
Right.
Yeah, so that's very
Yeah.
important to understand as well. And here's what, kind of what you mentioned was being able to budget correctly, right? Preparing for understanding what kind of financing can you actually get, what are the terms of those financing, right? And understanding what that budget actually looks like. A lot of first-time homebuyers, they don't understand that, right? They know kind of in their minds like the actual property they want to buy, and like how much maybe the property want to sell for, but they're not thinking about how does that correlate to a monthly payment, and whether or not they can afford that, and what their credit score is like, how long they've been at their job, so that way they can actually qualify for that financing as well. We do have, I think, a couple episodes back, we've done quite a bit of information on buy downs, interest rates from new builds, and lenders as well, explaining what these are. So definitely make sure to check those out if you guys are interested in learning more about that. But other than that, I think one of the other things that people will have a lot of questions about are the actual steps, right? What is the actual sequence of events look like? Where, what does the timeline look like to buy a house, right? It's not something that you just go into like a house store and then you pick out a house in 5 minutes and go check out a self checkout counter, right? There's actual timeline attached to that, right? And for a lot of people who are relocating, who are looking to get into a house in a certain period of time, that does matter. So I'd love for you guys to be able to share a little bit about, for a first time home buyer, what does that timeline look like to actually buy a house from beginning to end? And what are some of the key steps in between that they need to make sure that they're hitting those milestones so they're moving forward? So, Tony, again, we'll start with you and then we will go to you, Andres.
So, Kobe, that's a great question. So, question about what's the timeline? What's the timeline to really start your search process, start your uh, preparing to purchase a house? Timeline really should be like as soon as you really start thinking about it. Okay, is it 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road? When you start thinking about it, I want to do this. Start talking to a realtor, a real estate professional, and start opening that dialogue, because as Andres mentioned, what if you're unaware of some credit challenges that are on a report that may be wrong. So if you want to buy a house in June, don't start thinking about it or don't start reaching out in May, because what if there's some things that can be cleared up and it might take 30, 60, or 90 days to clear those up, so we can kind of get those addressed on the front end. That way, when you're actually going through your pre-qualification process, your numbers look better, and when your numbers look better, your rates look lower and your payments are lower as well. So Andres, he mentioned a lot of great things when he talked about how we can help you identify issues like that, and also give you the right resources and professionals to talk to you. Start having dialogues with lenders. Have you start talking to perhaps people that can help resolve credit inquiries or credit issues. We can start laying the groundwork for what area are you going to be looking for? Are schools important to you, or is being with closer to families more important to you? Is being near work important to you? So what are those questions? And then so we can just do an overall assessment and say, okay, are you going to look at new builds? Because new builds, there's a great opportunity. New construction, there's a great opportunity for a lot of them. So if those are in your parameters, we definitely want to take a look at those. And because a lot of times they have great buy downs, rate buy downs, they're automatically going to be familiar with that. So when you talk to an individual seller, and we talk about maybe discounting the price of the house as opposed to getting discounting the price of the house, we could actually apply. We could actually offer the maybe even a little bit more, but have a seller credit where there is a rate buy down. So there's a lot of different things. Speaking to the right professional is super important. Working with the right person to have them on your team. So just talking to great agents is super important. Make sure to vet them, because it's going to be a big part of your home buying experience for sure.
Yeah, having the right agent is maybe the most important thing for somebody doing this for the first time, right? If you're buying a house for the first time, you needed somebody to really help you out understand that, because there are a lot of moving parts when it comes
Mhm.
to buying a home, and understanding when things need to be done, right? And actually planning ahead is one of the things that probably out there people aren't doing quite enough, right? And they're missing out on potential opportunities, right? Like being a part of certain programs that can actually help them with their financing. Sometimes you do need to know about them earlier, right? So that way you can actually prepare for them and apply for them early. So that way you're not
Right.
missing out on
Yeah.
these opportunities.
The other thing I also mention is, like, some people say, well, my lease is kind of ending, in 3 months, so I'll start looking in 2 months. Well, what if a better time to buy is now? I've talked to also, I've helped people that, what if, we can get that lease, an early lease, get that lease paid out, because we know the prices are likely going to go up, or we have special incentives right now that may or may not be available. So there's different strategies as well to help people that you might not be aware of. So, and some companies they're very easy to deal with, so we can certainly talk about that as well. So there's lots of different things. Again, like you're saying, just talk to somebody that's kind of been through it and make sure that you don't want to have a new, necessarily like the brand new someone without experience, and then first time home buyer, because like who's helping who, so talk to somebody that's help people with new home purchases for sure.
Yep, exactly. And same question to you, Andres. You have, obviously run into quite a few people who are looking around in your, new home communities that you're, kind of being the sales rep for right now. So as far as, people who are coming in who's the first time buying a house, right? Maybe they're just looking, what would you say to them as far as the process, the timeline? What does that look like for them? And when should they really start being serious about planning ahead for buying their first home?
So my recommendation would be, this is just in general, not necessarily for someone that's walking into my office, but just in general to anyone who's purchasing a home. I would reach out to a knowledgeable real estate agent because they've been through the process multiple times and they would be able to kind of guide you through this process and help you stay motivated. Um, as far as the timeline, there is no specific timeline because it all depends on, hey, what's our credit score? Um, and certain requirements that we might just need a little bit more time to get you to the point when you can purchase a home. The thing that I tell people is I've been in situations where within 2 hours from the time we met, we're under contract to 30 days later, we're closed. And I also been in situations where it took me 18 months, but as long as the end goal is that you purchase your home, um, there's no discouragement or there's no wrong way to do it. As long as the end goal gets accomplished, and that is that you find your home, um, and that you're able to move your family into a nice place. My recommendation would be to, as soon as possible, seek a real estate professional and then start getting everything prepared as far as getting you approved, right? Getting you approved and then knowing the correct amount that you qualify for once approved. Um, we don't just want to drive around looking for dream homes or looking for something less, right? We could be looking for a 3 bedroom when we might qualify for a 4 bedroom. We really want a 4 bedroom, but because we do not know how much buying potential we have, we're okay trying to settle, right? Um, so just being knowledgeable of what our buying potential is very important. So making sure that your a real estate agent gets you over to your lender, and everything's all the boxes are checked off as far as getting qualified. Um, and then at that point, if you're ready, you're pre-qualified, which I think is the most important step because you might say, I'm not ready to buy until 8 months from now. But you want to wait till the 6 month. Like Tony said, there might be some obstacles that you possibly wouldn't be able to take care of if you waited 6 months to move forward. But what happens if I want to move in 8 months? Tony got me pre qualified through one of his lending partners within the first 30 days. And let's just say at 6 months, there's an awesome builder that's offering a rate buy down. They're offering you 15 to 20,000 in closing costs, and the only thing you would have to do was pay an extra month of mortgage, but then you're able to save $20,000. Um, I prepare for the opportunity and don't necessarily prepare for one specific moment. The sooner that you're pre-qualified and prepared, the easier it's going to be for you, going to be uh, possible for you to take advantage of an opportunity. In this tight market, being prepared for an opportunity is probably the best solution to get you the most bang for your buck.
Yeah. So that's a really good tip, right, for anybody who's looking to buy for the first time, right? So getting pre-qualified, right? Because that's kind of like people are asking all the time, like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? What's the most important thing? Well, there it is, right? That's the most important thing you need to do because, like Andres was saying, that's how you can take advantage of potential opportunities that might arise, right? Because that's kind of that's what tells people that you're serious, right? As far as in the industry, from what we know, right? That's when people are actually will show houses. That's what people actually will start taking. The listing agents will start taking these inquiries more seriously, as when they know you have somebody who is pre-qualified, who's buying a house. So I think it's good for us to kind of move on now to things that people may not know about. Right, there's tons of information on the internet today, blog posts and videos, including this one. Right, but there's just so much information that's out there as far as what should people be doing to buy a house, right, from so many different sources. But there are certain things that people don't know about, right, and unless they start talking to a real estate professional, right, like you guys here. So from what you guys know out there and the conversations that you're having, what would you say are maybe one or two things that first time home buyers just don't have any idea about, they're not aware of, or they're not aware of the importance of, that are very crucial to the buying process, like maybe budgeting for closing costs, the actual closing process, right? Maybe it is getting pre-qualified. What are some of these things people may not know about that you would say are pretty crucial to the process that they would need to know about? So Andres, we'll start with you on this one, and then we'll close it out with you, Tony.
One thing that I think people just might not understand that a real estate professional understands is, like I said, opportunity. Certain programs, like Tony just said, there's over 2,000 programs. That is true. Now, the time period that those programs are available might change, right? So some of these programs are government funded. So if there's a certain amount of money that's allotted for a specific program, uh, programs become available, and then at some point, once that budget is used up, that program gets pulled from the market. So having somebody that's knowledgeable, an everyday real estate professional that stays on top of the market, because the market does change. So this is just the last 45 days. So there was a time when people needed down payment assistance that it would benefit a client, it would benefit them more to just wait to get the down payment than pay an interest rate that's 1 to 1.25% higher. Therefore, making it not affordable because you can't afford the monthly payment. So you're probably better off waiting a couple of months, getting your down payment, than moving forward with that. But if, as that person, let's just say, uh, at that point, the down payment assistance was 8.25, right? That is just a number we're putting out there. And then we decide as a team, right? Because you're working with your client, that it's probably best if we just start saving towards a down payment. And as we're saving for that down payment, a program becomes available where the first time buyer could get a 5.75, right? Now, Tony has done everything, got you pre qualified. Now we can take advantage of this down payment assistance. It's not going to affect your monthly payments, actually going to be lower. It just became available because your real estate agent has made sure that everything is squared away. You take advantage of that interest rate, and now that money that you were saving for down payment, you can use as a reserve, or you can use as you want because it is your money on the purchase of your home. So just because a specific program doesn't work for you today, it doesn't mean it might not work for you a month from now, 6 months from now, even a day from now, because programs will become available and then programs will go away due to like government budgets.
Yeah. So that's great because people don't know, right? They might know about programs, but they don't know that they need to take advantage of, right, the opportunities when they're here. It's not going to be here like essentially forever. Things change, right? So as a first time home buyer, that is something very important that people should know about that I don't think everybody knows about. Same question to you, Tony. Something crucial, something that's very important that a first time home buyer may not know about or just may not understand the importance of, that it actually helps them get into a home.
Yeah, so something that's really critical for first-time home buyers or home buyers really in general, when you're in the process of preparing to purchase a home, your keep your finances the same or better than what you were doing. Don't go out and splurge on certain things because you want to build or some consistency and build up your down payment if you don't have equity in your home, which and really it's best to when you're buying from one home to the other. But we're talking about new home buyers, so don't go out and buy an ATV or a furniture set because hey, we're gonna have a new home in a couple of months. Let's start shopping for furniture and open up a line of credit at the furniture store and then use it up. So it's really critical, like because what you're working on beside your credit score, and one of the things that's tied to your credit credit score is your debt to income ratio. So how much your debt is as a dollar figure and versus your income. So you want to have a lower debt to income ratio than a higher one. And if you're going to buy furniture to try to fill up your home, and some people do this actually after they're under contract, and that could, if they're in a certain window, it could actually lose the house for them because what the lender's going to do is they're going to pull another credit report up until closer to a closing date, and what they'll find out, hey, your debt to income ratio now is off compared to where it was before, and unfortunately this house is no longer affordable to you based on your income. So those are the things to really 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 stay away from. So don't do anything that would kind of go against your credit score, your debt to income ratio, and could potentially lose the house that you've already spent all this time and energy and fell in love with. You don't want to blow that out of the water.
That's one thing that I've seen become, as of recent, one of the biggest obstacles, guys, is that $1,000 car payment. It's becoming really, really common, and uh, that's why it's very important not to make assumptions, right?
Mhm.
Uh, some people might feel like, hey, I have these nice cars, I make really good money, right? I should go and qualify for a mortgage fairly easy. Sometimes that car note can make it twice as difficult, uh,
Yeah,
just because it takes up so much of your debt to income ratio. So those thousand
true.
dollar car payments, guys, they're becoming common, but I think it's become one of the biggest obstacles for a first time home buyer.
So that's so big, like that's so important, right? Because people do this, and it makes sense why people would think that it's logical to do this, right? Like Tony, you were mentioning getting a line of credit at a furniture store when the house is actually under contract, right? Makes sense sequentially in their minds. Got a house, need to actually furnish the house, right? So let's get a head start on that, right?
Mhm.
Need a house, got a raise, need to buy a new car, right? Need to buy an ATV for the big yard, right? So that it makes sense in their minds, but they don't realize what it's doing. It's actually hurting their chances of actually being able to close. And that, I mean, most of the time that'll actually, make it impossible to close or make it, unable to close as well. So you guys are saying that people should wait until after closing to then pursue
Sure.
these other opportunities because they won't
Yeah.
lose the house at that point, right? Obviously, make financial sense, but wait until after closing to
It's I just think it's the way we're wired. We're always wired to get the nice car. Once we get the nice car, then we go get a house. I think it should be, hey, secure the home. Once you secure the home, if I would possibly, this is just advice, I would possibly live there for a year, and then if I'm able to budget and live well, then think about getting a vehicle, um, just to make sure. Because it's not just buying a home, guys; it's making sure that you keep it, right? So,
Right.
just those are that's just advice as more of a parent more than anything, because that's the way my daughter approached. She bought herself a house. I replace hubcaps every other month, but I'll happily do that. And other than I'm happy that she has her own house.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome that she's already got her own house, and you were able to help. You guys were able to help with that. So
Yeah, and she's like, hey, I'm all about a cash car right now, right? At some point,
There you go.
hopefully, when she gets out of dental school, then she'll have a little bit of extra money. Then hopefully she can buy a Kia.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
I'm a little
you got
afraid
to.
of those $1,000 payments, guys.
Oh yeah, don't want those.
But they're
Yeah, I mean, if
coming.
it's yeah, because what happens is kind of a chain effect. One person has a nice car, their friend says, "Okay, well, can I afford that car?" Well, but at the end of the day, yeah, what's more important to you? You know, being flashy or having a home, which everyone knows that the home will benefit you so much more because you're establishing you have real estate now. You're establishing yourself as your credit. You're establishing yourself as a trustworthy person. You have a home. People can
Equity.
come join you for family events and join you for celebrations and all kinds of stuff like that. And you can't do that when you're when you're strapped because you're living with friends or family and you have a nice car, but you don't have a necessarily a home to go to. So we want to get that thinking, reversed. Start with the home for sure.
yeah, exactly. And that's why people are buying homes for the first time, right? Because they're realizing it a lot more. So that's just good. I think you guys are just giving out good, sound financial advice in general, right? Which is another thing that a good real estate agent like you guys are able to provide for first-time home buyers, even those who are not first-time home buyers, also who might just be listening to this or watching this, right? Who are getting into their next house or so on and so forth. So make sure you guys are watching this or listening to this. If you guys are looking to get into your first home, right, make sure to contact Tony or Andres here in the description in the links down below this video, and they'll make sure to take care of you and not just get you into a home just to get you into a home, right? You heard their
Mhm.
advice here, right? They're able to help many other people do it, including members of their own family. So they're going to make sure that you get into your home, you make good financial decisions, right? Or at least give you the advice so that you can make those good financial decisions on your own and actually keep the home as well. So, but other than that, really appreciate you guys. It was a really good, I think, crash course for a lot of new home buyers, first time home buyers. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Real Estate Roundup. Thanks for tuning in.